I'm Dr. Mona Morstein. Welcome to my channel. I'm a naturopathic physician for 36 years. I'm going to be talking about today the top 9 supplements for diabetes, and I wrote a book on diabetes, so you can trust me with this one. Now, if you haven't already, please click subscribe to join my channel. So, today, right, the top 9 supplements for diabetes, right? Okay. So one of the problems with diabetes is that we have several things we're trying to cover with supplements. We're trying to help reduce insulin sensitivity, help the blood sugar be under better control. We want to protect the body from all the oxidative damage that high blood sugars can cause. So we want to protect and we want to try to treat and reverse those complications if they've developed. We want to help the mood, which supplements can do, because it can be a lot having diabetes and having to deal with everything about it, right? So we want good anti-inflammatory agents. We want maybe something to help us decrease cravings for foods that maybe aren't so good for you to eat if you have diabetes. So a number of things that we're trying to achieve with supplementation, right? And when we're starting, I'm always going to put a person on a good multiple vitamin mineral that has all the vitamins and minerals in it that the body needs, and fish oils, those omega-3 oils that just do everything we want them to do in our body and our mind, right? So I start with just making sure every day you've got everything in that your body needs to run millions of enzymes and get all the processes, and every cell needs to be happy and healthy and be able to function as best as it can. So we start with those, but then we need things specific for the diabetes. And we do start with 3 extra minerals: chromium, zinc, and vanadium. Now, zinc is needed to really make and secrete insulin. And zinc, chromium, and vanadium are all needed by the cell to be sensitive to the insulin the pancreas secreted so that it can take blood sugar in and use it properly. So these are really helpful nutrients. Now, we have to be a little careful when we're dealing with zinc. We do want some extra zinc, maybe 25 extra milligrams or 50, but if we take too much zinc for too long, we might get a copper deficiency. So we have to be, your physician has to be aware of how to best give zinc without causing a problem. Now, chromium is really very safe. I did read research on one fellow on his own, not me, not my patient, just one guy who decided to take 5,000 micrograms of chromium and his kidney shut down. Of course, they were able to come back. He stopped the chromium. So generally, chromium, we don't really need more than 1,000 a day total with the multiple and extra. That's plenty and it's safe, right? Now, vanadium is really very hard to absorb, but it does help with insulin sensitivity. The best form of vanadium is called bis-maltolatoxyvanide. Now, that's ridiculously, right? BMOX, right? So that is by far the most absorbable form of vanadium, and a good quality product will have that in it so that it can go to your cells and they can, all 3 of these minerals, work together, right? Now, outside of those minerals, we're looking at berberine hydrochloride. Now, if we go back almost 20 years, there was a researcher who studied metformin, which is the first drug that we give to type 2 diabetic patients, and combined it with the berberine, right, hydrochloride. And it was found that at the same doses, from 1,500 milligrams a day of both, berberine was really just as effective as the metformin in helping to lower blood sugar and therefore over time with the A1C. So it's good to have a little berberine. Now, berberine also, unlike metformin, is what we call an alternative. So it helps the liver, right? And we want a lot of liver help. Many people with diabetes are overweight with that visceral fat, that abdominal fat. And that during the night will cause a lot of fat to go to the liver and make it fatty. And then sometimes it catches on fire and it develops a kind of fatty hepatitis, the non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. That is the #1 chronic liver disease in the world, right? And it's due to this metabolic syndrome, the people being overweight. And about 1 billion people on the planet, are overweight or obese. Now, that can cause the same damage that alcoholism does. It can cause the liver to get scarred, nodules, cancer. So we have to really help the liver. Plus, the liver is a core organ for insulin sensitivity and resistance, right? So always helping the liver, which develop blood sugar in between meals with the kidneys, but it's super important. So berberine is a nice herb for the liver as well, right? To help it be strong. And I'm going to mention the liver and a few more supplements as well. Now, berberine, some people might get a stomach ache with berberine, right? Just like a lot of people get stomach aches with metformin. So unfortunately, they do share that possibility, right? So if you start taking it and your gut's a little off, it could be the berberine, but it happens a lot less than the metformin does. Metformin is 33% of people can have gut problems from metformin, and berberine is much, much less than that. Now, another supplement is an herb called Gymnema sylvestre. It's an Indian herb from India, and its colloquial term is sugar destroyer, right? Now, that we give that for a couple reasons. One, it can significantly reduce cravings for sweets and sugar and carbs, things that a person with diabetes really needs to get under control. It was also shown in a study to help the pancreas increase this lab called C-peptide, which indicates the pancreas is able to make more insulin. So that's really good. Now, I did this when I was at the naturopathic medical school. This is one of the also interesting things about Gymnema. So I would have my students at our table. We would all eat a little bit of organic raisins, and they're so sweet, right? So good, so sweet. Then we would put a couple of dropperfuls of Gymnema tincture, which is when it's been mixed with alcohol and all the active ingredients are in the alcohol. So we put a couple dropperfuls in our mouth, swish it around, and then swallow it. And then for the next hour, couldn't taste anything sweet. So we put the raisins back in our mouth and we just had to spit them out. It was like the mouth couldn't taste anything and it rejected it as foreign. So I like people that are maybe a little unsure about their sweet cravings or maybe going to a holiday party in December. It's nice to have the Gymnema tincture and do that swish. And then for an hour, you're just not going to be able to taste sweet things because it shuts down that your taste buds for that. So that's pretty amazing. It's a great herb. It's really my favorite herb for sure. And it's just fantastic and safe. Another supplement is N-Acetylcysteine. Now, N-Acetylcysteine does many things in the body. It does reduce insulin resistance, which is the main foundational problem in people with type 2 diabetes. So reducing that makes the system work much better. Now, it also is a liver protectant, very much so. And that's because it breaks down to glutathione. Now, glutathione is like our main antioxidant in our body, very high in the liver and the lungs, right? So This is really a fantastic support also for those unhappy fatty livers that so often come with diabetes, and can also, since it's an antioxidant, and diabetes damage from high blood sugar comes from oxidative damage, then being an antioxidant can help protect the cells, right? This is very similar to alpha lipoic acid. Now, alpha lipoic acid has two isomers, and by isomer, we mean ways it can appear. There can be an S isomer and an R isomer. Only the R is active in the body. The S is not. Now, if you get a product, it just says alpha lipoic acid, half of it's going to be R, half of it will be S, and that's no good. So you're only going to be getting really half the amount on the bottle that's usable by the body. So you really want to get R alpha lipoic acid. That is all fully functional. Our alpha lipoic acid is so powerful, it's actually been able to pull people back from needing liver transplants by helping to heal the liver up so magnificently with chronic liver disease. So alpha lipoic acid reduces insulin resistance, is a great antioxidant. It's been shown in studies to help protect the kidneys and the nerves and the pancreas from complications, right? So we love alpha lipoic acid and really think it's a great part of a diabetes protocol. The next one is curcumin, turmeric, right? So turmeric is the spice and curcumin is a part of the spice that is also, what do you think? It lowers insulin resistance. It's an antioxidant. Now, one thing that's been shown with curcumin is that people with type 2 diabetes actually have, now this is if it's uncontrolled, people with type 2 diabetes that is not well controlled have an increased risk of Alzheimer's and cognitive decline, and curcumin has been shown to help protect the brain, right? So it's just such a good anti-inflammatory throughout the whole body and brain. So we'd want to give some curcumin. Now, another substance is benfotiamine. I don't know how to pronounce it, so that may not be the right way to pronounce it. But it's what it is fatty thiamine, which is interesting because we usually think that B vitamins are so well absorbed because they're water soluble. Benfotiamine or thiamine is a fatty soluble form of thiamine that's really well absorbed, very well absorbed. And it really helps stop what we call this Maillard reaction, which is a sugar sticking to protein. Now, sugar sticks to protein all the time in people with type 2 diabetes. That's how we measure the A1C, how many glucose molecules are stuck to the A1C protein on the red blood cell. And also people with diabetes, if it's not well controlled, have a higher risk of musculoskeletal problems and frozen shoulder, and because the glucose could be sticking to the ligaments and tendons and so forth, right? So preventing that from happening is one thing benfotiamine does, but benfotiamine has very good studies on treating complications, both eyes, kidneys, nerves. Really good. So you need about 450 milligrams a day is the upper dose of this nutrient, but it's fantastic to help, one, prevent, but two, to reverse diabetic complications, right? Which generally happen in the eye, the kidney, the nerves, and then the lining of our blood vessels, right? The next diabetic supplement is Bilberry, or you could use blueberry, but this is a proanthocyanidin type bioflavonoid that is very specific to the eyes, right? So we know that high blood sugar can really cause problems in the eye. It can cause cataracts and it could cause diabetic retinopathy as well. And diabetic retinopathy is a big problem that can cause bleeds and lasers, and you need shots in your eyes and so forth. There are other problems that can go wrong with the eyes as well if your diabetes is uncontrolled for a long time. But Bilberry, there's that ancient, I don't know if it's myth or if it's the truth, but the British pilots during World War II would use bilberry jam to make sure they could see the enemy in their air battles in the sky. So it's very good for the eyes. And then the last one out of the 9 is green tea, which contains these bioflavonoids called catechins. Now, green tea does help the pancreas, it helps the liver, it helps reduce insulin resistance, and as a result, like the others, reduces glucose and an A1C. A very good, simple supplement that is also really safe to use. Now, these individually could be hundreds of dollars, but they're put together in a really fantastic diabetes product called Diamant from Priority One, which I put together because I see so many patients with diabetes. I wanted the one product that had all of these things at therapeutic doses to help treat, protect, and get my patients under better control, and even protecting their brain. So these are the top 9 supplements for diabetes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please press the like button and perhaps the subscribe button. If you'd like to have a new patient visit with me or a complimentary visit, please go to my website, Dr. Mona Morstein, and just send in the contact form. I look forward to seeing you at another video.